Hello everyone. Welcome to my channel, Turkish Spotlight Secrets. If you enjoy long-form, text-to-speech friendly stories told calmly and clearly, hit the like button, subscribe, and, if you want to support this kind of careful storytelling, tap the join button below. Today we're diving into a headline that has echoed across timelines and comment sections for weeks, the rumor that Elçin is jealous of Barış and Gupse. In this video, I'm not here to throw fuel on gossip. I'm here to walk you through what sparked the whispers, how they grew, and what a grounded look suggests about the truth behind them. Let's set the stage. All three names, Elçin, Barış, Gupse, are pillars of modern Turkish entertainment. Each has a defined public identity. Elçin is the chameleon lead who can shift from comedy to drama without losing timing or warmth. Barış is the charismatic anchor whose performances pull shows into focus. Gupse is the multi-hyphenate writer, actor, creative engine, and someone who has spent years building her own cinematic voice. Because they're all prominent, any interaction between them invites speculation. Add nostalgia into the mix, memories of on-screen chemistry and beloved characters, and you have the perfect environment for rumor to thrive. So where did this particular rumor begin? It rarely starts with a single explosive moment. More often, it emerges from small, out-of-context signals amplified by repetition. A camera catches Elçin at a public event. She looks serious for half a second while adjusting her bag. A lifestyle site freezes that frame and pairs it with a caption implying unease. Another account splices in an unrelated clip of Barış and Gupse leaving a venue, reads meaning into two people avoiding a crowd for privacy, and suddenly a narrative appears: tension, envy, rivalry. It's an easy story to tell because it uses familiar beats. It's also a suspiciously tidy one. Here's the slower, more ordinary story that often gets ignored. People change rhythms as careers evolve. Elçin has entered a phase where her choices read as purposeful, projects that ask for patience, characters with agency, stories that reward rehearsal. That shift includes protecting boundaries around her private life. Meanwhile, Barış and Gupse's partnership has a very different texture, a long-term, publicly acknowledged relationship that coexists with two creative careers. They have both spoken about balance, about carving time for family, and about choosing work that lines up with personal seasons. Those are adult decisions, not plot twists. But let's take the rumor seriously for a moment and examine the logic. The claim suggests that Elçin, seeing Barış and Gupse married and happy, feels left out. What would we expect to see if that were true? Patterns of reactive public behavior, barbed posts, or choices that strategically collide with their timelines. Instead, the observable pattern is the opposite: consistent professionalism, courteous acknowledgments at industry events, and a conspicuous lack of messy commentary. When fans ask personal questions in live streams, Elçin tends to steer back to craft. That's not jealousy. That's boundary keeping. Here's another angle. Nostalgia can be a powerful drug. Many viewers fell in love with a version of Elçin and Barış that lived on screen, written by writers and shaped by directors. When the credits rolled, some fans kept holding on to that fictional pairing and began reading real lives through it. In that lens, any sign that challenges the perfect couple fantasy can feel like a betrayal. Suddenly, a neutral photograph becomes a symbol, a quiet day becomes evidence, and a wedding ring becomes the antagonist of a story that never actually existed off camera. None of this is unusual. It happens in every market where a fictional couple imprints deeply on an audience. The task for the real people involved is to write their own lives anyway. The rumor also says something about how we digest media today. A clipped quote travels farther than a full interview, a cropped photo gets more engagement than a wide shot. A headline that begins with shock or secret will outrun a headline that begins with context. Yet when you zoom out, you repeatedly find the same grounding details. Colleagues who've worked with Elçin praise her set etiquette and focus. Teams who've worked with Barış describe how he shows up prepared and keeps a low profile off set. Artists who've collaborated with Gupse talk about her as a creator who protects her team and champions stories led by heart and intelligence. That is the daily reality, less glamorous than gossip, more durable than noise. Let's talk about how friendship actually looks in an industry like this. It isn't constant selfies. It's a quick check in text before a premiere. It's stepping aside at an event so the other person can have their press moment. It's sending flowers without posting them. It's choosing not to make a comment you know would go viral because it would also create a headache for someone else. These gestures rarely become content, which is why rumor sometimes wins the algorithm. But those gestures are what sustain working lives over years, not days. We should also acknowledge the way shipping cultures can pressure real people. A subset of fans take pride in reading signs, in proving that a hidden storyline exists. There's a thrill to it, detective work, community, decoding. The problem begins when that game becomes a demand, when public figures are expected to validate a fantasy or risk being labeled cold. In that climate, women are especially vulnerable to narratives about envy or rivalry. It's an old script, two successful women in proximity must be framed as opposites. In reality, Gupse and Elçin inhabit different lanes that don't need to collide. One can root for both without inventing friction. Now, what about the moments people keep citing as proof? The candid where Elçin appears thoughtful at a celebration. The article that claims she looked away when Barış was mentioned. The panel where Gupse laughed at a question and someone decided the laugh had an edge. In each case, there are a dozen alternate explanations. A producer signaled a time cue, a journalist mispronounced a name, the question repeated a rumor for the third time and the laugh was a deflection. None of these alternatives are dramatic, which is why they don't trend. But if you've ever been photographed mid-blink, you know how unreliable a single frame can be. Here's an observation from the craft side that rarely gets discussed. Artists at this level start to protect silence because silence is where the work grows. When you aren't racing to respond to every rumor, you can read scripts, sit with characters, train, rest, and build the stamina that complex roles require. Barış has spoken about the discipline that keeps a performance honest. Gupse has built an entire creative life around writing and producing. Elçin has welcomed roles that stretch timing and tone. That trio of choices doesn't produce sensational headlines. It does produce careers that last. You might be asking, if the rumor is flimsy, why address it at all? Because myths unattended can harden into the story. And because there's a healthier way to be a fan that still leaves space for enthusiasm. It's possible to celebrate the memories of a past on-screen couple while also respecting the life partnerships those people choose. It's possible to prefer one collaboration while cheering for another. It's possible to love the idea of a reunion someday without treating present relationships as obstacles to be solved. There's also value in naming what we actually know. We know that Barış and Gupse have chosen each other and kept that choice steady through changing careers and public interest. We know that Elçin continues to pick projects that rely on range rather than repetition. We know that all three can share space professionally without turning that space into a contest. Beyond that, almost everything circulating online is projection layered over partial information. So here's a different proposal for how to watch the next season unfold. If you admire Elçin, look for the choices that signal risk, the roles that test new muscles, the scripts that push beyond safe charm. If you follow Barış, look for the projects where charisma meets complexity rather than coasting. If you respect Gupse, watch for the stories she nurtures from the ground up and the new voices she invites into the spotlight. Let that be the scoreboard, not a rumor that shrinks 3 whole lives into a single, tired triangle. Before we close, let's turn to the question that keeps returning in your messages. Could the trio ever collaborate in some form? It's not impossible. The industry is full of unexpected crosspaths. But any such project would have to be built on clarity and respect, not on calculated drama. If it happens, it will be because the script is right, the timing is human, and the boundaries are honored. That's the only version worth hoping for. Thank you for staying with me through a long, careful look at a story that thrives on shortcuts. If you appreciated the nuance, please like the video, subscribe to Turkish Spotlight Secrets, and ring the bell so you don't miss the next deep dive. In the comments, tell me this: What would you rather see, Elçin in a high-stakes character study, Barış in a layered drama with moral dilemmas, or a new Gupse pen dramedy that gives both of them space to shine without rekindling old narratives? Keep it thoughtful and kind. That's how we make this community worth returning to. Thank you so much for watching. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.